You've probably seen these headlines. Austin is the hottest market in the country. Or how about this one? Austin selling for more over asking price than any other major US city. So you might say, all right, I'll just go buy a new build property in Austin instead because this market's absolutely insane. Well, you might be wrong. Jeremy Knight, the Knight Group, your favorite Austin realtor. You know, I'm seeing a lot of horror stories now coming out of the builder world, and I'm seeing them more and more regularly. So in this video, we are gonna go through and look at some of the horror stories that I've seen. Hopefully that'll prepare you if you are doing a new build in the future. And on top of that, at the end of this, I'm gonna give you some tips that might help you in the build process with the reps and with everything else. Oh, and before we go any further, drop a comment below what your experience was with your builder. Was it a good experience, a bad experience? Did you love your builder, hate your builder? Let's hear those in the comment section. The one major problem I'm really starting to see in the building world is that everything is going to bidding. Here's a great example from this post. Has anyone here won a bid from Taylor Morrison in Treviso? The first comment on here, my clients bid 4 times minimum on a lot and didn't get it. We're seeing this a lot, and in fact, a lot of communities that people are bidding just for the lot premium, you know, $150,000 to $200,000 just for the lot premium. And then on top of that, they have to still do the build. They still have to pay for everything. So a neighborhood that should have been $450,000 is now a $650,000 neighborhood. And on top of that, you have to make up the appraisal waiver. So if you're doing that and it doesn't appraise for $650,000, in that scenario, it appraises for $550,000, you might have to come out of pocket for that $150,000. The other thing that might happen with these bids, and what we're seeing in this comment really highlights this, is that they are requiring a higher earnest money deposit that's non-refundable. So if you do win that bid, like this scenario, you would actually have to put up an additional $50,000 extra earnest money, just like this comment says. Now, let's keep that in mind. If you're bidding on a property that's $350,000 and you bid $400,000 on it, a lot of these builders are requiring you to make up that difference as a deposit at the beginning. So that means that you might have a $55,000, $60,000 deposit up front on a property on a $400,000 home. But to have a non-refundable deposit of really could be up to $100,000. It depends on what you bid over on that property. That is a lot of money to be sitting in the hands of a builder that you may have to terminate with. And we got some horror stories further on in this list that kind of show that. So let's look at that. Now, here's another problem. When you are in these bids, every time a couple bids go through, the builder raises the prices. Here's a good example of this. Yes, my clients had a builder exercise the $500 and we're out clause as well as about a month ago. The builder came to them and said they decided to increase prices, so my client had 3 days to decide if they wanted to pay the higher price or let the builder terminate their right and give them their earnest money back. So that's one thing. This was nice because they're actually going to give their money back, but if you've been on a list for a long time, and we'll talk about lists in a second, and then they're raising prices on you and you're about to write that contract and it was in your budget, now it's out of your budget, now you're out of that home. The problem with these lists are you're 10th on the list, but every few homes they sell, they raise the prices on. Yes, you might spend $150,000 on the lot and you were planning on spending this price on the actual floor plan, but now the floor plan's 10 grand higher and all the upgrades are also more expensive. And so that is, that's not a lot of fun. Oh, actually, here's another good one. This one was actually on my community page. Got a call an hour ago from the sales rep at High Point saying that the lot my clients put a refundable $5,000 deposit on in December will now be released as an inventory home with no ability to make any changes to the floor plans, options, deco, and they will not release this until the home is 60% complete, and that's the only way they'll do it, and they have first right of refusal. So this is a good example of what's happening too, because you've been on a wait list for a long time. You really want this property, you want this exact floor plan, you want this lot or one of the lots, and then they say, hey, you know what? You don't get to design anything in the house. We are gonna pre-pick everything for you, and you have to bid on that, or you have to go ahead and pay whatever price that is. Now, if you're doing a regular to-be-built home, the great part about doing that is that you get to pick out all the design on the inside. But what we're seeing the builders do now is pre-spec out the property, which means that you get whatever they put in there, so it becomes an inventory home. Even though you've been waiting on a list and wanted this specific home, it's no longer available. You don't get to pick out anything on the inside. So here's another really good one. Have you seen where the builder is asking for a refundable deposit of $5,000 just to be on a priority list? Now think about that. You want to put up $5,000 just to hold your spot in line, not even put a contract on a property, but just put yourself in line. Guess what happens though? You're putting a $5,000 deposit up that's now out of your pocket, and those prices are going to go up until your number gets called on that list. Again, every time they sell a property, they raise the prices again. So being on a priority list and putting up a refundable deposit is okay, but that's $5,000 that could have been in your pocket doing something else. So kind of not a fun thing. Let's look at the next one. I had a Braun Waterloo home cancel a contract because they decided they didn't want to work with my buyer's lender, who had a lower rate than their preferred lender. They brought this up less than 30 days before closing after my buyer had been under contract for 2 months. This is something we're seeing a lot of too, that builders are just going ahead and terminating contracts last minute because guess what? They can put that home back on the market and make more money now, even though you've been through the process of holding on to that property. You've put up all the earnest monies, everything. You've gone through the time. You've loved the home. Last minute, they might find a way to wiggle out of that contract and resell it for much higher. I actually have some more examples of that. Let's check them out. Heads up realtors, I have a friend that built with Braun Home Builders and they canceled her contract when she requested for a modification and put it on the market for $135,000 more. The contract stated that they could cancel for any reason, so they did without cause. So this is something that I'm starting to see a lot of. Builders are finding any reason they can to terminate a contract just to put it back on the market. And this is something where sometimes they will take your earnest money. I got some more good examples of this. Let's check it out. I recently had a sales rep text my client at 10:30 at night, telling them that if they wanted to move forward on reserving a lot, all they would need is a $500 check, a pre-qual letter, and to hurry. When my clients told the representative that they wouldn't move forward without their realtor and all correspondence should be gone through me, my clients were suddenly told that they were placed on the wait list. Sad but true. This is something that I think needs to be brought up, is that a lot of these builders do not really want realtors to represent you. Now in Texas, you have the right to representation. If you want to build on your own and go through the process on your own, that's perfectly fine. But if you do want to use a realtor, really the builder's not paying for you. It's coming out of their marketing budget for the agent's fees. Them not using an agent to help you helps them save money. Now, is that in your best interest that the builder's doing that, or in the builder's best interest? That's up to you. One that I wish I had a slide for, and I don't, is the actual builders telling and encouraging a buyer not to have an inspection done. Now, you can have a third-party inspection, but some builders, I won't name the names, will tell you, hey, you know what, we have a third-party inspection done. You don't need an inspection of your own. Yes, as a buyer buying a new build home, I would not trust and put faith in the builders solely. I would definitely have an inspection done because, again, you want to make sure that the house is built right for you. And I've seen a lot of people complain post-close that the builder's warranties aren't what they said they were going to be, and there's a lot of complaints there. I wish I had some better slides for that. I might find some in another video, but let's look at the next one here. Just did a deal Horton walkthrough, and we should never have even done it. It's like no one looked at the house before they came in. I spent 3 hours marking the thing up with the buyer. The builders don't care anymore about agents' opinions. I mean, this is something I'm starting to see a lot of. I mean, builders are trying to build quickly. They're trying to meet deadlines. They're trying to close. And sometimes when you go to do those final walks, things are not done. That's one thing is, you know, if you're not gonna have a realtor helping you and the builder's gonna say, hey, sign off on this and we'll fix it later, the same builder that's telling you not to have a realtor is telling you to sign off on something. Be careful. So definitely think about that if you want a realtor or not. So I said I was gonna give you some tips to help you with this. Here's my number one: politely bug the sales reps. Now, look, if you're on that wait list and you're really trying to get into a home, don't be rude, but be persistent with some of these build reps. I've heard from build reps, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And a lot of times what we do is constantly stay on top of these builder reps to make sure that our clients are in position to actually get on a list, get a property, and get closed. And if you are on a list, here's another great tip. You might want to chat with the builder rep and see if it's in your best interest to actually go through and get pre-approved with their lender. Look, I hate using builders lenders. A lot of times they're very slow. Their prices aren't always the best, but they will give you incentives and it could bring you down the list, and it might be the difference from you getting a home and not getting a home. So sometimes getting pre-approved with their lender ahead of time might bring you down that list. So there you go, Jeremy Knight, the Knight Group. What do you think about this video? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and have an awesome day.